In 1989, a young couple from California felt the call of God on their lives to go down and rescue children who were living on the streets of Honduras. Orphanage Emmanuel was formed. They started with 5 children, and now there are over 500. And every kid at Emmanuel has a story. Some of them have never known their parents. Others were abandoned and found living under bridges. Still others, their parents dropped them off at the orphanage because they could no longer properly care for them. But as we were down there, what we found is that these kids are like any other kids. They want to be seen. They want to be embraced. They want to be important. They want to be remembered. Since 2015, we've been going down to Emmanuel. We've developed incredible relationships with the staff and the kids down there. And even though we've been down there now, some of us many times, we are always blown away at the ways that we see God move in new and different ways. We think that we know what's going to happen or how it's going to go, and God always exceeds our expectation and changes what we think is going to happen. We love going down and seeing the ways that God is moving in and through not only us, but the lives of the kids into our lives.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I'm going to stand up here because we are also live streaming. Hi. We are here today because to give you some information about our trip to Honduras that we've been taking since, when was your first year? 14 or 15? I think it was 15. We've had teams going down there, and we've had teams of 7 people. We've had teams of 35 people and everything in between. And so we've done kind of it all that way. And one of the things that I recognize in taking students to another country is this is a big deal. And I say that not to make you afraid, but to make you confident. We understand it's a big deal. We understand that there's lots of moving parts. There's lots of stuff that we've got to do, that we've got to organize and assure are in place. And I just want to let you know that we do our very best to do that each trip. So this isn't like, oh, this is easy. Don't worry about it. Just let us take your kids. We understand it's a big deal, and we handle it that way. Just real quick to let you know, how many of you've been to Honduras with us before? Okay, we have some veterans, and there are others who are also, I know, planning to go. And I'll just let you know personally, God changed my heart in Honduras, for Honduras. The first year that I went to Honduras, I came back pretty frustrated. In fact, while I was there, I was pretty frustrated. And I came back, and I was just like, oh, what was that all about? And the next year, I got there and started to really struggle and be like, oh, what is this? And here's why I struggled. Because they didn't need me. They didn't need me to do something that they couldn't do for themselves. I didn't need to go in there and save them. I wasn't providing them some kind of resource that, oh my gosh, they were doing without it. And now because of us, we, the Americans, came in and saved the day. That's not the way it is. Emmanuel is amazing. It's an amazing place that God has done miraculous things in. And there are typically between 400 and 500 kids at Emmanuel at a time. And so it is a small city. It feels like a large village or a small town. And they have tons of resources. The people who support Emmanuel do so in an amazing way. And so it's our mindset, and I'll talk more about this in a few minutes, our mindset and goal is not to go down there and be like, don't worry, everybody, the Americans are here. Don't worry, we'll fix your problems. We'll make you happy. We'll give you what you need. The reality is we're stepping into a place that God is going to use in our lives as well, and he's going to use us in some really specific ways that he wants to use us, our group, our specific gathering of people that we take down there. And it doesn't always look the way that we as, I don't know, let's stereotype it, Americans think that we could be of best help or assistance. And the relationships that we've developed down there are incredible. We students are consistently in touch with kids that they met down there through sponsorship and things like that. Families have sponsored kids, and we'll talk about that later. but they have a sponsorship thing, kind of like Compassion International or, what's the other one? World Vision, that kind of thing, where you can sponsor a kid. We've got students and families who are sponsoring kids. It's really amazing. So my goal and hope today is that if you're here and you're like, I want to go, just give me the details. I'm going to give you the details. If you're here today and you're like, my student, my son or daughter wants to go, maybe I want to go, but I've heard some things about Honduras, and I'm not sure that this isn't sketchy, and I need you to talk me into it, Jeff. I need you to, I've got woo, I can do that, I've been there, I'll woo you into it because it is amazing, and we'll talk through the aspects of safety and planning and then all the details of what this trip looks like when we're there. So let me pray for us before we get started, and then we'll dive in. God, I'm really thankful that you put Orphanage Emmanuel in our lives. I'm really grateful each year for the opportunity that we have to go down there. And God, as we prepare for this year, I'm so grateful that it's not just about us putting a team together, but God, you have a plan. And so I pray right now for each person here, each person who's going to watch this meeting later, who are wondering what it is you're calling them to, that you would be really clear, God, that you would overcome fear, you would overcome insecurity, that you would bring boldness, that you would bring hope and assurance. If this is something that people are supposed to be involved with, that they would just know, and that they would be willing to step out into the uncomfortable or into the unknown and follow where you're leading, God. So we give this to you right now in Jesus' name. Amen. So in case I don't know you or you don't know me, my name is Jeff Taylor. I'm the youth pastor here at LBF, and I have been, this will be my seventh time down to 6, 7. I always check my wife. If I say something and she goes, I know that oh, wait. So 6 or 7 times. And now, as I told you, God had to work on my heart. Now I love it. And I feel so much more at peace being there and going there and getting to see our kids. And I also love taking students and seeing them experience another culture, maybe for the first time, getting to see them be uncomfortable, hot and sweaty, because it's humid and we work sometimes. And anyway, so really good. But to let you know some of the parameters of the trip, who's leading the trip? My wife, Laura, who's right there, and I will be leading the trip. And then I always have all kinds of help doing that. Kim Methvin has been here. She likes to raise her hand too. She has been since 2015, and she helps with all kinds of stuff. And there, Mercy's been, and who else has been? Any others? Okay, Brennan. So anyway, there are always several adults who are part of leading this trip and handling different responsibilities, and it's great. I love it. And so there is definitely leadership on this trip that knows what they're doing, that is experienced, that can kind of foresee things that are happening. I know that there are 2 people, my wife and other, who speak Spanish, and so that helps us out greatly. I speak enough Spanish to get into a conversation and then have to go, Laura, because then they use too many words. So we have leadership on this trip. It's always great, and it works out, and we can do that. The dates for this trip, we will leave the night of Wednesday, June 28th. So we will actually come to youth group. We'll have all the students bring their luggage to church and leave it here, and then we'll do youth group. Last year we had everybody at youth group pray for us and then walk us out to the bus, and we take the bus into LAX and we leave LAX. We typically go through either Houston or Miami is where we'll go through customs, and then we will go down to Pomarola International Airport. It's a brand new airport, really nice, and it has a long enough runway, which is awesome. The old airport, it was a runway, but they would take you out there, and to take off, they would tug you out there, and then there's a tug waiting, and then they cut out some of the mountain, and they would push the plane back just a little farther, just to get a little extra run up, but we always survived. Anyway, the new airport is new and nice, long runways and all of that. We will get there, so we'll leave Wednesday night. We take off about 11 o'clock, 11:50, and we get to Honduras the next day. So Thursday around noon, 1 o'clock, we land there. And then we will return to LAX, again, via Miami or Houston. We will return to LAX late on Thursday, July 6th. And when I mean late, meaning we'll land at like 10 p.m. And then the bus will be there to bring us back to the church, and everybody will be picked up here at the church, okay? Yep, that's all I have to say about that. When we get to Honduras, this is part of the safety things, but when we get to Honduras, there is a bus from Emmanuel that will pick us up with staff from Emmanuel. So we're not taking public transportation. We're not flagging down a ride. There is a bus from the orphanage that will pick us up right outside the airport. We walk out, they help us get our bags all loaded up, and then they drive us directly to the orphanage, okay? So that's one of the things that we'll talk about in a minute when it comes to safety. That's one of the things is they provide the transportation for us to be able to get back and forth. And the same when we return to the airport to come home, the bus takes us from the orphanage directly to the airport, and we leave from there. All right. The purpose of this trip is this is something that we are called to do. Jesus said, go into all the world and make disciples of all nations. We are going to make disciples. We are going to partner with and come alongside the ministry that Emmanuel is doing to point the kids that are there to Jesus. And we do that in a variety of ways, and that is why we're there. And so we love the kids, we play with them, we play games, we do field day, we get beaten soccer, we go play basketball, whatever it is, just spending time with the kids. And there's an affection that grows there when you just spend time that way. And then there is also a lot of staff at Emmanuel. A lot of them are American. They have left their homes, they've left their jobs, well, if they have families, or their lifestyle they left in the States and are there. And some of them have been there over a decade and are serving these kids. And so part of what we do there is encourage them. We have dinners that are just for the Emmanuel staff where we serve them. And we're down there over 4th of July. And so we have like a 4th of July party up in the team house with the Emmanuel staff. And they always enjoy that, and that's a lot of fun. And to simply love them and ask, how can we serve you? How can we be here for you? How can we encourage you? And sometimes that is playing with kids. Sometimes it's painting water towers. Sometimes it's digging ditches, whatever it is. And that is, again, I just want to be very real with you. That is some of the work that God has done in me. Of just like, okay, here I am painting a water tower. I'm pretty sure this water tower has been this color before. And yet, it's like, no. This is a way that we can express the love of Jesus. And so we're going to do that. And so we serve them in that way. The typical schedule, this varies. And one of the things that Troy always talks about, and we always remind everyone, is you got to be flexible. You can't. What? Some of you are looking panicked. Did I misspell something? Oh, you saw 5:30 a.m. I see. We got to be flexible. So just because something's on the schedule, there's 75% chance it's going to go that way. It's we can make plans, but we are also ready to change however we need to. So typically 5:30 if we're going into the kids' houses to do morning devos, or if they have breakfast at 6 a.m., the timeline there is very different from ours. They get up at like 5. They do their house chores. 5:30, they have their devotions. 6 o'clock, they're at breakfast. 6:45, they're back to their houses getting changed. 7 o'clock, they are running. Their day has started. And then that means they are back in their house right around 5 p.m. And our day is over at 5 p.m. So that's when we'll do team time and things like that. But we can go have breakfast with the kids down at the dining hall. On Wednesday and Sunday, our team is given the opportunity to lead church And so we can do that. That's always a lot of fun. A lot of times we all learn a song in Spanish, and we sing that song in church on Wednesday and on Sunday or whatever. And so that's a lot of fun. And then we have team time each night because, like I said, the kids are all in bed. So we'll have team time. We'll gather around. We typically, depending on the size of the group, we'll make smaller groups. And we have the opportunity to share our testimony. We have the opportunity to pray together, hang out. We play cards and we laugh. And it's a lot of fun through the evening and into the night. So we do that. So that is a basic schedule of each day. And like I said, that flexes and changes depending on what's going on. All right. Is it safe? This is one that typically parents are more concerned about than students. And so whoever I'm talking to, whoever you're worried about, safety when it comes to international travel is about a few things. One, not being alone. And so I can tell you, no one is ever alone. We're all, when we travel together, again, depending on the size of the group, we will either be in one group or there will be smaller groups of people that have a leader. And so before we head to this gate, hey, leaders, you got your whole crew? Everybody goes, shh. And then we move to the gate. All right, after we get through TSA and security, hey, leaders, everybody got our So we're not leaving people behind. We're not, and so it's about not being alone, which we are never alone. The second thing that it's about is making sure that you're where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, or not being where you shouldn't be when you shouldn't be there. So like traveling at night. We don't travel at night in Honduras. When we land, it is daytime. It is daytime when we drive to Orphanage Emmanuel, which is about 3 hours on a bus. It's daylight. When we leave Orphanage Emmanuel to come home back to the airport, it's light, so we're not traveling at night where, yeah, I mean, things happen here at night. And being where we're supposed to be when we should be there. And so the orphanage is also guarded. It has a perimeter fence all the way around, and they have actual guards, making sure, because Orphanage Emmanuel is right on the outskirts of a town called Guaymaca. And so they make sure that nobody from town hops the fence, or not that anything necessarily bad would happen, but they just want to make sure that their kids are safe, and then teams that are there are also safe. And so there are guards around the perimeter fence. When we pull up in the Orphanage Emmanuel bus, they stop us at the gate, they make us all get out, they look and make sure that I don't look too sketchy, and then they let us in, and we go. So there is security, and that is the way that we handle this on this trip. Nothing is like, all right, I hope our driver's there to pick us up. Oh, I hope we don't have to walk too far down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning to try and find our bus. None of that happens. And so I can just let you know that is some of the forethought that has gone into this. Picked up by Orphanage Emmanuel. Oh, we're all going to be wearing a team shirt. So we will look like a group, and so that is an added benefit to looking like we're together and no one's alone and things like that. Is we will travel in a group. We're going to wear shirts when we travel that are all team shirts, and that'll be good. And then we will not be leaving the Emmanuel grounds except arriving from the airport and departing to the airport. So there's at no point are we like, hey, anybody who wants to go into town, we're going into town. We don't go into town. We just stay there in the complex, the compound, and that's all good. So is it safe? I believe it's as safe as it can be. Of course, when we take students to Knott's Berry Farm, things can happen. And so, but we do everything we can to make sure that the precautions are in place and procedures are met so that it's as safe as it can be, okay? Oh, and by the way, at the end of all this, there will be the opportunity for questions. And so if I'm not addressing something, you're like, yeah, but then at the end, you will for sure be able to do that. Will there be communications with the team in Honduras? That's not a typo at the end. That is, in fact, the word iffy. Yeah, there's a Wi-Fi router there. If more than 4 people get on it, it tends to get a little iffy. Don't expect to call home every day. Don't expect FaceTimes to be reliable or texts. If you don't hear from us, you can go ahead and assume everything is okay, we're doing well, but Wi-Fi is just not great. And that would be the reason. We do have the opportunity, if there's the opportunity to text, then that's great and that's okay. One thing that we do ask everybody who goes is to let this be an opportunity to sever some ties here at home. To even, don't expect or demand or on either end to call home every day, to check in, to give a daily report. Hey, how was your day? At the end, we'll gather together and we'll do a recap of the trip. And when they get home, they'll have plenty of stories. But it can be, I don't even know the word, but like, oh, I should probably go up to the team house because the Wi-Fi is only in the team house and kind of like in one room of the team house. And if there's that pressure of like, oh, I haven't checked in with my parents yet today, or, oh, I wonder if it just becomes a distraction. And so we do ask, we're not forbidding it, but we're asking, hey, chill out on the communication. They are someplace safe. If you don't hear from them, it's not because something has gone wrong. In the opportunities where, yeah, if they can send a text, or if there's the opportunity for a Wi-Fi phone call, great. But let's not make that a priority. And parents who are sending your kids, don't make that a demand or an expectation. You have to call me every night. It just may not happen. In fact, I'd encourage it not to happen, just for that opportunity to be focused in what we're doing. And so that would be great. But communication there, iffy. Okay. Is a passport required? Absolutely. And you need to check and make sure right now that it's not going to expire within 6 months of when we leave. Okay? They won't let us travel if we go in July and, hey, or June to July, and your passport expires not till September. They won't let you go. And so you have to make sure if you need a passport or need to renew your passport, you need to get on that. And you need to check your passport if you already have one. Check it right now and make sure that it's not going to expire within 6 months of June. So until January, January, really. So you do need a passport. Next up, is COVID vaccination required? You have 2 choices. Vaccination, full vaccination, or a negative COVID test the morning we leave. Okay, so we don't need to get into how you feel about vaccinations. Here's the reality of it. If you're vaccinated, you have a vaccination card, doesn't even matter how you're feeling that morning, you'll be able to go with us and you show your vaccination card at the airport and everything's good. If you aren't vaccinated, you'll have to get a PCR antigen or ELISA, I don't even know what that is, test the morning that we leave, so the morning of the 28th. If that comes back positive, you can't go. That means all the money that you have raised, all the tickets that have been purchased, all that is just lost. There's nothing that we can do about it. So my only observation is having the vaccination is the for sure, secure, safe way to do it. But we are leaving it open to you if you're like, we're not getting vaccinated, we definitely want to go on the trip. We'd love to have you on the trip. But this is the process that you'll need to do, is the morning of the 28th. You'll need to get one of these tests and have a proof of negative results, and then we take that with us to the airport, you show them that, and we should be good to go, okay? That's really, that's Honduras's protocol. That's not our protocol. So that's what the government of Honduras says has to happen. Is Spanish required? No. Helpful, but no. And I do know that many high school students who are taking Spanish are eager to learn more and are so excited when they, pegar la pelota, and it's like, woohoo, and I said something and the person understood, and so it's fun, and we will also go through some basic Spanish things in our meetings and stuff like that, but you don't have to speak Spanish. We will have people with us that speak Spanish, and there's a lot of people at Emmanuel who are bilingual, who speak Spanish, but they also speak English, and so they translate for us, and so it's not a helpless situation. Money. Will money need to be changed? No. We can use American money at the little store in Emmanuel, as well as stores in Honduras also accept debit cards and things like that. And so we don't need to change money. We have changed money in the past, and we've just realized we don't need to do that anymore. So we don't need to worry about that. Cost. So how much will it cost? About $1,500. Sometimes it's like $1,350. Sometimes it's $1,750. It's kind of, it varies, mostly depending on airfare. That's our major cost. And so depending on that, we will be able to give you a solid number. And here is the main point of this. We ask everyone, every single person on the trip, to fundraise this money, not just pay for it. Even if you've got $1,500 and you're like, here, no problem, we ask you not to do that. We want to connect with people in our lives. We want to give God the opportunity to provide in a variety of ways and give people outside of ourselves the opportunity to partner with us. Not everybody's supposed to go on this trip. Some people are supposed to support you on this trip. There's also something to growing as a teenager, growing in the ability to ask, and to ask graciously, and to appreciate graciously. And so we ask everybody, please fundraise this money. It doesn't mean that your family can't give some or whatever, but what we do ask is that you don't just pay for it. You're like, oh, so here I have $1,500. We ask you, and we'll talk about this when we start meetings, how do I fundraise? What does this mean? It means writing letters, emails, texts, whatever, to people and saying, hey, here's what I'm doing. Would you be willing to partner with me in this and help make this happen? And every single time we see God provide in some really cool ways where, yeah, my mom's boss said she wanted, my mom was talking to her about it and she gave me $500. Whatever it is, there's just really awesome opportunities where we see God provide in some cool ways and unexpected ways. And so want to encourage you or let you know that when you see $1,500, I'm not standing up here saying, so start saving up your lawn mowing money or your babysitting money. Like, we're actually asking you, if you want to contribute some of it, that's okay. If you're like, hey, I want to invest in this trip myself, that's great. But we are asking that you also participate in fundraising and don't just pay for it all yourself, okay? The commitment. All right. What you're committing to if you go on this trip is obviously going on the trip, so the dates work for you and you don't cancel last minute. But that you will also participate in the fundraising that I just talked about, that I'm willing to do that, I'm good to go, and that you are also part of all team meetings. We are going to start, typically in April, we will have a meeting like every other week. So 2 in April, 2 in May. We will probably have 2 or 3 in June, just as we get ready to go and make sure everything. Now, this is one to communicate things about the trip, specifics of things that we've got to get ready. And hey, has everybody packed this? Has everybody gone and done this? But it is also an opportunity for connection. This is not, we don't want everybody who goes to be down there kind of with their own agenda and their own, like, hey, this is a neat trip for me. Here are my expectations of the trip. Here's what I want to do. We need to be a team. And whether it's a team of 9 people or a team of 35 people, we need to be a team. And one of the ways that happens is for us to connect with each other leading up to it. So in our team meetings, we will gather, we'll talk about specifics of the trip. We'll spend time praying together, worshiping through music together, sharing needs and where we're at. Like I said, a lot of times we'll break up into smaller teams, smaller groups if it's a big team. And people have shared some really important things like, hey, I'm really having a hard time. I've got a lot of fear as this gets closer, or I'm really worried about the money's not coming in like I need it to, or my parents are really freaked out and they're stressing me out, and we're able to pray with each other and walk with each other through all of this stuff, and all that happens at our team meetings. And so I schedule the team meetings to be on Sundays so that we're already here many times, we're already here, and it's easier to just kind of gather because we're all here. And so these aren't 3-hour meetings or even 2-hour meetings. These are gatherings where we'll be in here, or again, depending on team size, and we'll connect. And so I can tell you right now, if Sundays are off the table for you, you're just like, I'm not available Sundays, I can't be at meetings on Sundays, this isn't going to be the trip for you. Not because I don't want you here, but because this is when we need to meet, and this is when it needs to happen, and you need to be at all team meetings. So I will get the meeting schedule out to you once we form the teams. I'll get the meeting schedule out to you, but it does need to be a thing where this takes priority over other things. Oh, hey, my mom and dad want us to go out to lunch today. We need to communicate and be sure that your parents know, hey, this is a meeting that you need to be at. If you're playing club sports or travel sports or something, and Sundays is game days and things like that, either one, let your coach know, hey, on these Sundays, I'm not going to be at the game, or recognize this might not be the trip for you. There are other trips that aren't going to have their meetings on Sundays and things like that, but these meetings are important. Of course, if life happens and it's a thing where you're sick or something truly spontaneous happens, talk to me, let me know. That doesn't mean that, hey, something spontaneous happens once a month and I'm only able to do half the meetings. And I just ask for your integrity to work with that and to make this a priority. If you're signing up for this and you're committed to this, this needs to be one of the commitments. Cool? That makes sense? So where to go from here? If you want to go on this trip, you're like, yes, I'm in. Go to exit83youth.com and the application is on there. Please, students, if it's you that is going, you fill out the application. Okay, there are questions on that application that talk about your experience and your faith and your journey, and I want to hear from you. I don't want to hear your parents' interpretation of where they think you are or where they want you to be. This is not, some test, some school thing where it's like, oh, I'm grading you on grammar, and did you use big words? And it's not that. I just want to hear your heart. And so something simple, when it asks about your faith testimony, when it asks about, just share that. If you need help, ask a parent. But if you're a student and you're going, then I want to hear from you. There will also be, once I get an application from a student, there will be a parent referral that I will send out to parents. Basically, this is me communicating with parents going, hey, parents, your kid wants to go on this trip. How do you feel about it? And this is a really crucial step because this really helps me understand where students are as they approach this. And parents have shared some really wonderful things that have helped me a lot. And it's not a thing of like, oh my gosh, I don't want to say anything that'll disqualify them from the trip. Please don't let that be the mindset. The mindset is, Jeff, I want you to know my son. I want you to know my daughter better. And so here, and there are some questions. There are some very specific, some very personal questions about how do they handle stress? How will they handle this? Or how do you feel about them being in this kind of situation? And I want you just to be really honest. And I can tell you, there has never been a situation where I have had to say, you know what, I think it would be a good idea to wait and not go on this trip, where all around, the student and the parents were like, yeah, you're probably right. That's probably a good idea. And that has happened. There have been times where there are things going on in a person's life where I go, you know what, I don't think you need this to pile on. I don't think this is something that you need to try and navigate while also navigating these other things. And so please let me know. And I don't know how more clearly to say this. Like, don't worry. It's like, oh my gosh, but they're on medication. They are in counseling. They're on great. Those are all great things. So don't think about it like, oh, I don't want them to be disqualified. Please don't do that. Please just be honest. And as we navigate this, I'll walk with you, and we will perfectly make a decision. But I want to hear from you too. So. Commissioning Sunday is what we call it. It is on March 5th, so just a couple weeks away. So we're doing this meeting now, and we're announcing it at youth group, and it's like, okay, things need to start happening. So okay, we're going to pray about this for a month. You don't have a month. We need to have the team set by March 5th. So now that you have the information, now that I've convinced you, we need to start moving. So go to exit83youth.com and fill that out, and we can get that rolling as well. Okay. Questions? Okay, so here we go, and you guys can help me out if people have questions that I don't know what I'm. Yes, sir.
Jeff, not familiar with international travel. How long would it take to get a passport?
They say 8 to 12 weeks is what, so we're like right at it. I mean, that needs to start to happen quickly, yeah. Yeah, you can get it expedited overnight if you want to pay twice as much. So, yeah. Yeah, so how long to take a passport, for those of you who watch? Yeah, they say 8 to 12 weeks. I've gotten it in a month. I've also not gotten it in a month and had to leave for a trip late. Anyway. Other questions? Things you're wondering? Curiosities? I couldn't have been that good. Just vaccinated, yeah. They say fully vaccinated. So if that was the 2-shot one or the 1-shot, just fully vaccinated. And there's now there's no testing to get back into the States. So that's easier than it was last time. Any others? Am I forgetting anything? Oh, food. Okay. The food is fantastic. They have Honduran ladies there that are amazing. They're cool. Now, here's what it is. They cook us really mild American food. And so, because they do not want teams coming in and getting sick with things that our stomachs aren't used to. And so, it's very normal, it's not super spicy or any of that. Sometimes, we can sneak into the kitchen and be like, hey, what are you, and try something. But yeah, it's all American food, and it's really good. They spend all day making it, it seems like, and it's great. So yeah, good food. Yeah, I actually sent an email because the antigen and what was the other one? PCR, and that other one, Alyssa, yeah. That's all that's listed on there, and I don't know whether a home test is one of those or if it counts. And so I emailed Emmanuel and said, can you please let me know? So I will follow up with that and figure that out because, yeah, I'm not sure. Right, which, yeah. So I'm looking for clarification on that. My guess is a home test would count, but I don't know if you'll have the paperwork for it. I don't know what they'll require. So Honduras will get back to me. Okay. That's one of the other things I asked Honduras, Emmanuel, because they said 24 hours, you have to be clear 24 hours. But if those tests, now the CDC website or the Honduras website says 72 hours. But Honduras says 24. So I'm needing to get clarification on that. So I will follow up with that and figure, because yeah, you're right. when you take it and when you get the results is different a lot of times, unless it's one of those drive-through ones that I don't know where those are now. Yeah. What else? Does it have what? Yeah. Yeah. So there are two houses that we can stay in. One is a row of bedrooms, and a row of bedrooms with the kitchen across, and it's sort of like a dorm where it's got 8 bunk beds per room, and we sleep in bunk beds on mattresses. It's comfortable. We part of the packing is everybody bring a sheet and that kind of thing, and so it's normal beds on bunk beds. The other one is more like a big house, and this side of the house there's a giant room with 25 bunk beds, and on this side of the house there's a room with 15 bunk beds, and so guys will sleep on one side, girls will sleep on the other. There are showers, there are bathrooms for everyone, and it's meant for a lot of people. It's not like 50 people sharing one bathroom. It's kind of dorm style bathrooms, and then enclosed showers with curtains and things like that, and so showers are available. Yeah. Guaymaca, Guaymaca.
What are the vaccines are recommended? Malaria, dengue fever?
You don't have to have any vaccines. They don't even recommend them. Yeah, you don't have to have any other vaccine. Apparently, COVID's the only one they're worried about. So, yellow fever. Psh, it's COVID. That's what you want to avoid. But yeah, there's no other vaccines that are even recommended. It's inland, like rainforest. So there are some bugs. I must not be sweet. They are definitely sweet, and so yes, we've had people, everything from me, I don't get a bite all week. I'm fine. So I don't sleep with a net. And then there's these folks who like, whoa, what happened? So bug spray, all those things. A lot of times people bring those nets for the bed and put those nets on their bed, and you can do that. And the bug spray and all of that. So there are bugs and lizards. Haven't seen a snake yet, but spiders, lizards, geckos, frogs, grasshoppers. Yeah. The what? Bring one home. I don't know if one would survive the flight. Okay. Anything else? March 5th. On Exit 83 Youth? At the end of today it will be. Yes, sorry. I'm like, go to Exit 83 Youth. It'll be there by the end of the day. If you want to go to lbf.church, it's already there right now. I don't know how the app works. Is the app the same as the website? No? Yeah, they don't necessarily put everything that's on the website on the app. So yeah, if you go to lbf.church and then go to like serve and then serve globally, it's already there. Yeah. But we will also have it on exit83youth.com. Yeah. Really, so as soon as we get the team set. So we will probably meet, we typically meet March 5th. So March 5th would be the first one. And then we'll meet the end of March, and then 2 in April, 2 in May, and I'll schedule those meetings immediately. So by the 5th, on the 5th, I'll hand out a meeting schedule.
Typically, are the meetings like during second service like this, or would they be after church?
Working on that. I'm going to try and have them during second service, but I also know that conflicts with those of you who serve in Life Kids and do other stuff. So it's like, it will either be, and we're going to 3 services. And so I've got to talk with a couple people about that, or it would be immediately after church. And so it would be 10, 11, yeah, like noon. So we do from like noon to 1:30, typically. Yeah.
So, one is this, I have two questions. One, is this open to adults as well as kids? Or you pretty much have your adult team that's set?
So what we ask, so it's open to students who are going into 8th grade and above. Okay, so we don't take incoming 7th graders just because I don't know them and I have no experience with them. 8th graders I've been around, if they've been at youth group and older, I know them and they tend to be more of an age where it's like, okay, we can handle this. And then adults that want to go, I am open to adults going if they have an Exit 83 affiliation. Meaning, you've got a student in youth group, you know me, you're a past Exit 83 student, that kind of a thing. It is open to those people for this reason. I want us all to be on the same page when we go there, understanding this is a youth-oriented trip, and it's it's not a thing of like, oh, I'm going down to Honduras. Yeah, I'm not going to do the small group time with the kids. Oh, I'm not going to do this. But it's like we are all in this together, and I just want to be assured that we are of that mindset and that we're all serving together, and it's not an adult team and then Jeff's managing the students. It's that we are all together and supporting one another. So adults, I'm open to adults who have an Exit 83 affiliation and understand what we're doing.
My second question is, obviously I saw like your activities, what you guys are doing with the kids, playing and worshiping. Can you give me an idea of like what I guess other than that you're doing with the kids and your service project, or maybe that's the compass of like, is it kind of like VBS for the week for the kids, or what's it like?
Yeah, so there are several things. Typically, one of the things we do is a field day where we take all the kids out into this field and during the day and they rotate around and play different games with us. And it's sort of, it feels like a VBS kind of activity day sort of a thing. We fill up 1,200 water balloons and have this giant water balloon fight and things like that. We also, there are times through the week where they'll have a craft area open and we'll bring crafts with us and we'll sit and we'll do crafts with the kids. Usually a couple of us have a guitar and we'll take our guitars. Each age group has a yard that they stay in, and so we'll go into the small boys' yard and they always want to kick some sort of ball around or have you carry them around on your shoulders. And we'll do that. The small girls or the medium girls will want to do some sort of craft, or sometimes they like to sing, or they like to do their hair in braids and things like that. What other activity kinds of things?
So oftentimes they will like facilitate the week based on what we tell them. We have to fill out an interest form on what we like to do, or if we're bringing down a skilled group of men that can do construction. There's been years when they have made the week specific to your group. So us bringing a lot of youth down, it might look different. We do generally have a work project that goes along
Right.
with it, but we won't find that out until we get down there. So they've had us paint the school before, do murals at
Everybody get all that? So for those of you on the video, skilled things, we will have projects, like she said, if you're a doctor, if you're a dentist, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, general contractor, there's always those types of needs there and opportunities to serve there. With the students, it's mostly being in the yards, playing, doing projects, hanging out with the kids, playing basketball, playing soccer, and that's one of the things where that is as important relationally as, you know, having a general contractor who knows how to build a wall. That's great. That helps there. Being relationally connected with the kids and loving them that way, practically having fun is important too. So.
One last thing real quick on that. So as the kids go down, and every year it happens, there's sponsorship available, like Jeff said. So for those of us who have been multiple years and probably would come out of any going a first time, you have the option to adopt a child in the orphanage and
Sponsor, not adopt.
Sorry, well, you can adopt them too, but anyway, sponsor.
That's a bigger commitment.
That child, and so for a lot of that time, and even those first time going, if they create a relationship with a specific child, they are able to build community with that child through the whole week. And so, like Jeff and I going down, we see our sponsor kids that we've had for 8 years, and we're family. They know my family's coming, and so we are given multiple opportunities through the week to take them to the tienda, which is the store within it. We bring gifts down, which is another big part. Like we will even talk to the team about, like you come down purposely to celebrate something or to do something for a kid. LBF has sponsorship kids, and we will bring down stuff for those kids. And it is very relational. Like this is my family coming. This is my church coming. And so you basically are there to love on that specific kid through the week. And so that does take quite a bit of time. And money.
Anything else? Just a final word. I'll let you know. This is a very, as I've talked about, this is a very controlled trip in terms of the people that go. It's not just open to everybody and anybody, as well as where we're going and what we're doing, as opposed to other trips where, hey, we're going to some neighborhood and building a house. We're going to some place and we're going to evangelize. We're going to go to this. This is a very specific trip. And so if you're looking at it and going, okay, if you're going to rate the intensity of this trip, where would you rate it? I would definitely put it like a 5 or below. This is not a very strenuous trip. There have been times we've been digging ditches out in the heat and stuff, and there's always plenty of water and all that. But there have been some work projects where it's like, we're working. I mean, this is a lot of work. But in terms of the unknown or, what are we going to do? We don't really know. It's really not that intense of a trip. And so I believe this is a great, if this is your first venture out onto an international mission trip, I think this is a great one because of the things that we do know and the relationships that we do have. And it's not very unknown, where it's really controlled. And so if that's something you're wondering or helps with your decision, I just throw that out there. I think this is a great first trip, and would love to have any of your students that would like to go. And if you as a parent are interested in going, come and talk to me, and we'll kind of discuss some of those details, and we'll go from there. Cool? And if you have any other questions that you didn't want to ask, come on up. I am willing to answer, and Laura and Kim and Emma has been there a bunch, and Brennan, Mercy. We can answer probably a lot of your questions, and I will also be getting back to you on the vaccine stuff, because that was all the information I had. So, cool. God, thank you for this, and we pray that you would lead us and guide us into deciding what we're going to do and how you'd have us be part of this. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.